corporation. Taking this exam, they might ask you, what is the C corporation deadline? They may list all kinds of dates, and they may also list this 15th day of the 4th month statement. The 15th day of the 4th month is really what it is. That is the deadline. That is how it's described. The actual date may vary based on whether you have a calendar year corporation or if you have a fiscal year corporation. C corporation penalties. There's a C corporation is subject to penalties under Internal Revenue Code 6651A1, the failure to file a return, and 6651A2, failure to pay the amount shown on the return. So the 6651A1 failure to file a return is 5% of the unpaid tax up to a maximum of 25% of the unpaid tax. The minimum penalty for a return more than 60 days late is the smaller of the tax due, or $450. And so we had a question in the group about this particular thing. And the question was something like, the corporation filed did not file an extension, they filed late and they paid late, the tax due was $100. What would the penalty be? Well, since it's the smaller of the tax due, or $450, the tax due was $100. So then the penalty would be $100. So the corporation would then, in that particular situation, end up owing $200, $100 for the tax and $100 for the penalty. And I get it, because in this situation, it's the smaller of the two numbers, where usually with the government, it's the larger of the two. So make sure that you read and understand the question, and also make sure you read and understand the law. Now, the 6651A2 failure to pay is charged when the corporation does not pay the tax due. And so the failure to pay penalty is 0.5% of the unpaid tax up to 25% of the unpaid tax. Okay, so with the failure to pay tax, you see it's actually cheaper than the failure to file, right? Because the failure to file penalty is 5% of the unpaid tax. The failure to pay is 0.5%, right? So it is, this is why we encourage people to file on time, because you save money just by filing on time. Let's look at an example. Let's assume EAB Corporation owes $100,000 in taxes for tax year 2023. The deadline for paying these taxes is April 15th, 2024. However, EAB Corporation failed to pay the full amount owed by the deadline. Okay? Let's also assume that EAB Corporation pays its taxes 3 months late on July 15th, 2024. The total amount of unpaid taxes is still $100,000. So the failure to pay penalty is calculated like this. There's the amount of tax, you multiply that by 0.5%, and then you multiply that by the number of months to get the total penalty. So there was $100,000 of unpaid tax times 0.5%. That gives you $500 times 3 months is $1,500. So in this situation, EAB Corporation would owe an additional $1,500 because they paid late. Now, let me also remind you here, this is where you really have to read the question, because someone might say, well, maybe they filed an extension. It does not matter if they filed an extension. The extension is for filing paperwork. It's not for paying the tax. So even though EAB Corp could have filed an extension, the question didn't say that. And it doesn't matter, because the extension does not do anything with the penalty, because you got to pay the tax due. Okay, so make sure you read the question and answer the question being